live and podcast on our free iHeartRadio app. We're also available on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com and you can pull up our homepage, Rip City Radio 620, and you can find our older shows there, and it's a great way to check out the stream. If you want to hit me up, you got a couple of different options because I'm friendly. We, of course, can communicate via X. You'll find me there at Chad and Rip City. And if you want to just text me direct, my number's 360-281-5473. Hit me up. I'd love to hear from you as we step an inch closer to football season, which will kick off in college 9 o'clock Saturday morning from Dublin, Ireland, with a Big 12 battle, Kansas State and Iowa State. So definitely looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll get to what the SEC has decided to do in just a moment. Chris Burkhart is with me, and I want to say thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. If you want to jump on board and join the show, you can do so at 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. What a spectacular day it is. August 21st. Blue skies, sunshine, and we've got the warm temperatures. And it was near perfect on the golf course this morning. So I hope you're enjoying your day. I am right now sitting inside of the Todd and Maxine McClaskey Culinary Institute at Clark College. Of course, my main man, Earl Frederick, is the dean, East Coast Earl. And we did it last year, and we're back again this time to shine some light on his program and what he's got going down. So we're going to talk some food today. I'm going to have an opportunity to talk to a couple of his students, and East Coast Earl will jump on board, and we'll get his thoughts on how things are going with the program. And, of course, I will ask him about his two beloved teams, the Jets, Jets, and the New York Knicks. I feel bad for Earl because he's such a good dude, but his two teams are run by mere incompetence. I mean, think about it. Woody Johnson and James Dolan. Like, if you're a sports fan, you don't want those two guys running your teams. You just don't. It's really bad. Now, I did want to jump to something from the NFL, and then we'll get to the SEC going to a 9-game schedule. You know, we were talking about quarterbacks yesterday, and, you know, the way you want to handle your business and the way that you want to operate. Well, we know that the Colts have made a decision at quarterback. They're going to go with Daniel Jones. They have benched Anthony Richardson, who once again at the start of preseason got hurt mostly because he didn't recognize the defense. He didn't have the awareness of what was going on, and he took an unnecessary shot. And these are the issues we have seen from Richardson in the time that he's been able to play with the Colts. Doesn't have recognition of the defense and what they're trying to accomplish, doesn't see the field particularly well, and most importantly, does not get rid of the football on time and on target. Now, I mentioned yesterday, I'm not a fan of what the Colts have done. I'm not saying that Anthony Richardson's going to be a big-time quarterback. I don't know. He barely played in college, and we've only seen a small sample in the NFL. But because he played such a small sample in college, I think that these teams that are going to take a reach on a guy with very little data to back it up, if you know you're taking on a project, then I think you have to have a plan, and you've got to be patient with that plan to make sure you give that guy every opportunity to succeed, especially when you're going to burn, you know, a big-time top 10 pick on someone in the first round. It's critical. And now we're looking around the NFL. Look at some of the guys that have had success now who were in the NFL last year for the first time. Bo Nix, who played a ton of football at Auburn and Oregon. Plenty of experience coming out of college into the NFL. He had been there and done that. So you had a lot of tape on him. You knew what it was about. You had plenty of coaches and teammates and people you could talk to about his work habits, the way he carried himself, the way he led his team on the field. You had knowledge. Dylan Gabriel. I'm not saying Gabriel's a top-notch quarterback, but much easier to know what you're getting in Gabriel because of all the time he had played, whether it had been at UCF or at Oklahoma or his time at Oregon. The tape, the teammates, the coaches, you have a much better idea of what you're dealing with. And the same thing goes with Jaden Daniels, starting out at Arizona State, making the shift and going to LSU, winning a Heisman Trophy, playing a ton of games, and having that type of experience. Now, college experience is not always going to translate to great NFL success at the quarterback position because, you know, the competition level and the type of competition that you face, depending on what conference you're in and what team you play for, it varies greatly. And in the NFL, of course, you know, you've got top-notch athletes on the other side of the football, guys who are number ones everywhere. So you never really know how it's going to work. And we've seen over the years with the NFL teams that being able to figure out who's going to hit at quarterback and who's not, it's not exactly an exact science. In fact, most teams fail at selecting quarterbacks. That's why I have so many guys that, get a start, drafted high, they burn out quick, and then they wash away. Very few of them get a chance to redeem themselves with another team. Now, we have seen that recently with Geno Smith. He was reborn in Seattle after, burning out with the Jets. We saw it with Sam Darnold, same thing, ruined by the Jets. Got an opportunity in Carolina and then was revived by the 49ers before making his way to the Vikings. And now with the Seahawks. Baker Mayfield, he was with the Browns, bad organization. Things didn't go well. He had a chance to revive his career. He did so with Sean McVay, wound up in Tampa, and now they're a playoff team and he's playing good football. So you've got to have a plan, and unfortunately the Colts did not. And I think they forced him into action too soon without the proper, coaching, training, and everything. He needed a Brian Daboll like Josh Allen did in Buffalo early on in his career to help him with his accuracy issues. So anyways, he has been benched in favor of Daniel Jones. And I said yesterday, if you're a quarterback in the NFL and you get benched in favor of Daniel Jones, that could be an indicator that maybe you need to find a new career path. You do not want to be benched in favor of Daniel Jones. That's very bad for you. That's not a good look. It's bad for your career. And what does that say about what you aren't able to do on a football field? But the other thing that's an issue for Richardson right now would be his agent. And some of the comments that were made by his agent after Richardson was benched in favor of Daniel Jones, I think are troubling at best. He had a chance to speak with ESPN. Derek Jackson is his name. And he went on to say, quote, "We have a lot to discuss." That's what he told ESPN of the conversations with the Colts. Jackson said he believes that the decision on Tuesday and some previous situations involving Richardson have damaged the team's credibility. Richardson was benched for the 2 games last season, with Steichen saying at the time that Richardson needed to improve his game preparation. The team then quickly inserted the number 4 pick into the starting lineup after suffering 2 straight losses with Joe Flacco under center. He went on to say, quote, "Trust is a big factor, and that is at best questionable right now." Anthony came back and made the improvements in the areas he needed to improve, and by all accounts, he was having a very good camp. Steichen, referring to head coach Shane Steichen, made a decision. And that's the decision we've got to live with. So here's what I think Anthony Richardson needs to do. Number one, because he said all the right things. He hasn't thrown a fit. He hasn't criticized. He's handled everything in stride. What he needs to do is tell his agent to slow his roll and to watch his mouth and don't speak for me publicly, because that's not going to play well in the locker room. Because guys know, the vets know, they know who's been performing at practice and through camp and who hasn't. And the problem is when you put yourself in that type of situation where your agent is throwing that type of fire at the organization, you become a distraction, you become a big story, and then all of a sudden the team doesn't even want you around in the quarterback room to be a backup because you're a distraction. And teams don't want that. The best type of backup quarterback is the one that we forget about because he's not making headlines. And for Anthony Richardson, if he wants to last and have an opportunity to succeed in the NFL, he's got to make sure that he's saying the right things, doing the right things with his work habits and his preparation. And he's got to make sure that he's not making headlines because his agent is a bit out of control with the public criticism of Shane Steichen and the Colts. And if you can do that and then continue to put in the time and show that you can be prepared and be ready to play in game situations, then you're going to be okay. You can carve out a nice career in the NFL as a backup if you don't make headlines, if you don't create waves, and your preparation is good, and you contribute to the quarterback room, and you're there on the sidelines. You see how the majority of those backup quarterbacks work. They're there to assist the starting quarterback through the process of going through a game, what he's seeing on the field, the play calling, everything. You want to be there to be a positive impact on your teammates. And so we'll see how this plays out. My guess would be, and we've seen this kind of thing play out before in the NFL, it's hard to see a situation where Anthony Richardson can remain on the Colts now that his agent has gone public and made those type of comments, and it's become a headline because you don't want that type of distraction in the quarterback room. So maybe the Colts will look to move Anthony Richardson now, and then I guess he just has to pray, if he is dealt, that it's a team with a great coach, a quarterback guru that can really help to rebuild his game from the ground up. So we'll see how things shake out. I'm glad that the Browns are going to get Shedeur Sanders back on the field. That is another mess that's going to be fun to watch. The Browns' schedule the first 6 weeks of the year, a mess. Joe Flacco will get the start. That way you communicate to the other vets on the team you're not throwing in the towel on the season. And then we'll see where the record's at after the first 6 to 8 weeks. And then who else is going to get in? Kenny Pickett, Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel. What are the Browns going to do? It looks like they're quietly trying to tank and put themselves in a position to be near the top of the draft next year, but we'll wait and see. All right, I want to bring in Chris Burkhardt, who is with me. He accused me of trying to avoid him because every time he's at the station, I'm not at the station, and vice versa. But he's with me today. And Burkhardt, it's great to chat with you, my friend. I wanted your take because I know you're a big college football fan like I am. How about the SEC deciding to go to a 9-game conference schedule and putting themselves in a position to where each team can have and maintain the rivalry games each year, but adding that extra conference game at 9? That would seem like a very good decision.
It's about time. That's what it is. It's about time. Sitting there playing 8 while everyone else is playing 9. Do this. Play each other. Stop scheduling the Citadel in Week 10 and play quality opponents and show why you're the best conference in the land that you think you are, man. This is a smart move by them.
I agree. And here's what's cool about the playoff expansion. One thing I believe is, depending on your schedule and the teams that you're willing to play, if you play multiple big games, we could find and see a team in the very near future that could have 3 losses. You could finish the season at 9-3 and still be a part of the postseason if you come from one of those mega conferences. The team I would use as an example this year, and in fact, I think it was Phil Steele who pegged them as the surprise team this year that could really step up, and that's the Oklahoma Sooners, because their schedule is one of the worst in the nation, with games against LSU, Missouri, at Alabama, at Tennessee, home against Ole Miss, at South Carolina, and they play Texas, and an out-of-conference game against Michigan, who's ranked number 14 right now. When you play that type of schedule against top-line competition, I think as time goes on, the committee's going to honor that, especially if you come from one of the power conferences, Big Ten, SEC, and you can survive that type of slate, lose 3 games, and still get into the postseason. I think that type of situation will encourage teams to be able to play bigger games against tougher opponents, which is what we want.
No, that's exactly what this sets up, Chad, because now not only do you play your 9 conference games, they've added the add-on there that you have to schedule one of the other Big Fours, right? So you have to have an ACC or a Big 10 or a Big 12 matchup as well. And at that point, like you said, if you're losing 3 games, but you went and you played quality opponents the whole way through, you've just opened up doors for you to get into the college football playoff. And, of course, we're talking about expansion and all this stuff that could happen. So, yeah, it just makes sense for the SEC to do this.
All right, hanging out right now at the McClaskey Culinary Institute at Clark College. My man Earl Frederick is the dean. When we come back, we're going to talk to one of his second-year students and get his take on the program. We'll talk some food. Robert Cohen is going to join me. East Coast Earl's coming up later in the show. If you want to jump on board, 503-248-0620. Chris Burkhardt is here. And you can also find me on social at Chad and Rip City. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. Well, I'm thankful because today my man Earl Frederick was kind enough to host me here at the McClaskey Culinary Institute at Clark College. I actually got my 2-year degree here at Clark College, so it's great to come back and hang out and talk some food. And right now I'm joined by a very nice young man, a second-year student. And what I love about this, he knew I was coming today, and he came prepared because he's got his Shade and Sharp Rip City jersey on. But Robert Cohen, who joins me here on the Rip City Drive. Robert, thanks for your time, buddy.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We were just talking. You're originally from Rochester and moved out to the Northwest, and you've been out here for about 6 years. What brought you out to the Northwest from the other side of the country?
Out here is where my mom lived, and I decided I wanted to move a little closer to spend some time with her.
Yeah, I get tired of the clouds and the rain for about 5 to 6 months out of the year, but for the most part, moderate climate, beautiful surroundings, and in Rochester, you've got extreme temperatures, right?
Yeah, it's either really hot or it's really cold.
Oh, my goodness. And you're a big Buffalo Bills fan.
Yes, absolutely. Go Bills.
And I asked you if you had been to a game before, and you said when you were younger, you went to a preseason game, but you're actually going to go to your first Buffalo Bills regular season home game this year in September, and it's going to be against Miami?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, division rival.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game.
Gosh, that's so awesome, man. What is Rochester like?
Rochester it's really nice. I don't have too many giant memories of it because I was only 13, 14 when I moved here, but
yeah.
Lots of good food. The garbage plate is shout out the garbage plate. People are so much nicer over here. People it's really busy in Rochester, but it's nice. I like it.
Yeah, I noticed that vibe, going back and visiting in New York is people just move at a different pace. There's a different type of intensity to the way people operate out there. I loved it. It's a great city and the surroundings were phenomenal, but the West Coast lifestyle is just different. Did you notice that right away?
Absolutely, right away. It's a lot slower. People are nicer. If you're walking down the street in New York, you're not going to get a single word. You walk down the street here, you're going to get a couple hellos. Hey, how you doing?
Oh, that's great. All right, let's talk about the Culinary Institute. You were telling me about a couple of different programs. You can go through the bakery program or the culinary program. You're in the culinary program. You're about to complete year one, so you got another year to go. What's the experience been like thus far here at Clark?
It's been amazing. I came into here with very little culinary experience, very little idea what I was doing, why I was even here. And in the short year that I've been here, I've learned an immense amount. I'm a completely different person. I'm a different cook. All the instructors have just helped me be a totally different, better person.
And what are a couple of the things that maybe surprised you that you didn't know about food beforehand that you do know now as you've had a chance to go through the program?
The biggest surprise is honestly that it's a lot simpler than you think, but also complex, which I know is a little counterintuitive, but it's simple as where it's just you have your ingredients and you just have to know what to do to them. It's not very much like all this weird science and math. There is science and math that goes to it, but it's definitely the secondary. The primary is the creativeness, which I really enjoy.
Now, when you say you got to know what to do to the ingredients, is that how they fit together, or is it how you utilize the ingredients? Kind of expand on that.
It's a little bit of both. It's about knowing your end goal. So it's about taking a product and knowing how can I manipulate this product to get it to what I want to be. So if, for example, if you wanted something to be, I don't know, cooked to be ready for later, but oh, sorry.
No, I understand what you're saying. You're talking about how you want to have it prepared for maybe a dinner service later in the day, but have it kind of in holding, right?
Yes, exactly. How you want to be able to know how to cook it so that it won't go bad while sitting there hot, but you can have it for later and ready. Exactly.
Very good. But that's a valuable tool to learn, right? Because I would imagine here at the kitchen, the restaurant kitchen, where you guys serve people that come in every day, you've got to prepare for the amount of people you're going to have, and I would imagine there's certain items that you have in that holding pattern that are ready with maybe one other fix before you serve the food.
Absolutely. There's some times where one thing is ready, but the next thing isn't going to be ready for 20 minutes, but we have to serve them at the same time.
What is it like to have a restaurant where you get actual customers that come in that you have a chance to serve? Has that been helpful through the entire process so far in the program?
Absolutely. It's been very helpful to know what the real world is going to be like, and it also it's very fulfilling to me. It's very nice to cook for somebody and have them eat and enjoy it and gain sustenance from it.
And that's great. You were talking about your family, and I guess one of the great ways to know how you're doing or things that you're working on is that you've got your family that you can serve food to because they don't have a culinary background, but they'll give you honest feedback on different things that you try or whatever. What's that process like?
It's really nice. It's really fun because a lot of the times in the kitchen here at school, we're cooking, but we have certain guidelines that we have to follow. When I'm at home, I can just go and I can cook whatever I want. It's super nice.
Now, Earl was telling me that you guys got slammed today here at the kitchen, right?
Oh, yeah.
So talk about that, because my first jobs were in restaurants, and I remember what it was like when we get hit hard on like a Friday or a Saturday night. And it's like chaos, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what was that like today, and what were some of the things that you learned through being slammed today?
It was really difficult at first, especially because this is only our second week open here in the restaurant. So it was really difficult to get around it, and it was quite the learning curve. But we have a really nice, tight-knit group here, and we all learned together and helped each other out, and it was really nice to be able to work together and solve that problem.
That's terrific. We're talking with Robert Cohn, who's a second-year student here at Clark College in their culinary program. So throughout the program, like, what are some of the benchmarks or food projects that you have to work on and master before you're done?
So throughout our first year, we have like our midterms and our finals. We usually take CEC tests, which is where there's a very certain guidelines where you have to usually make a protein and 2 sides and and a dessert or whatever, and you have to get it done in a certain timeline. You have to have it all done where it's sanitary and, of course, tastes good. And those are like the big tests. And then for our second year, we have a very big test at the end where we are going to basically set up as though we were about to open our own restaurant.
Oh, that's going to be cool.
Yeah, we have to figure out all of our recipes for all of our food. We have to cost out all of those recipes. We have to figure out how much it's going to cost to pay our employees, the lights, the gas, whole 9 yards.
Well, that's valuable, because you were telling me, you said when you arrived that you weren't really sure what you wanted to do, but it sounds like you've got a plan now. You and one of your classmates, you guys want to open a pizza restaurant together.
Absolutely. In the future, I met him here. It was really nice, and we've grown together to be able to have that shared goal.
That's great. So from Rochester, are you a New York-style pizza guy, or kind of explain what the perfect pizza is?
Oh, absolutely. The best pizza, I like a nice classic pepperoni just covered in grease with some nice chewy crust.
Yeah, that's great. I've tried, here I know a lot of people, like I've got a lot of friends from New York, and they're big on New York-style pizza. I've tried, Chicago-style with the deep dish. I like Detroit with that crunchy crust with the way they do it in their pans. I like it all.
It's so good.
Like, why do you have to choose one or the other? Why can't you just enjoy all pizza? I mean, if the ingredients are fresh and the crust is good, what else do you need?
You really can't go wrong.
That's great. So I would imagine that those skills then, right, in terms of costs, understanding how to operate, like, valuable for what you're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely. It all comes together, and I'm so grateful for it.
That's great. So what about year 2? You talked about year 1. What are some of the things? Do you know yet what some of the challenges will be for you in year 2 of the program?
A lot of the challenges from year 2 come from the restaurant, which we had just started our year 2. So this is why we're only in our second week here at the restaurant. But working towards, before we've just been working by ourselves on our own meal, kind of figuring things out and learning. But now we're forced to work in a team and figure out, how am I going to make this meal how I did before, but while working around 5 other people, while there's 20 orders in, while we only have 5 minutes to do it.
Yeah. And that's challenging, isn't it?
Absolutely.
What do you think are the biggest mistakes, common mistakes that people make with their food at home? Is it overcooking? Is it something else? Is it over-seasoning? What are some of the basic mistakes that I might make that if I just adjust something a little bit, it might make my food taste better?
Something that I have learned, and I learned early, that's super simple, is just the amount of salt. When I see people cooking at home, they typically don't add salt. But something I learned very early is that just a dash of salt, or a good dash of salt, can make something go from pretty good to like, wow, the flavor really pops. One of my chefs said an unctuous. It makes it taste unctuous, which is hard to decipher in your head, but like you'll.
But I like that word though.
Absolutely, and you could taste it once you taste it, you'll know. It's like, this is an unctuous amount of salt. It's good.
Yeah, but it doesn't take a lot, right?
No, not really.
That's great. So aside from pizza, what are some of the other foods that you enjoy making or getting creative with?
I love cooking food from back in New York. Like I mentioned earlier, I love the garbage plate. It's a really good. I love making pizza is my specialty, but I really love cooking whatever. I like to consider myself a jack of all trades. If I like the challenge, I like to try something different.
Yeah, it's fun. My mom always told me that, she was a good cook, but she told me that she just thought that, the reason why she was good is because she loves food and loves the process, right? So she'll, come up with different ideas, and she's not afraid to try different things, and she always had fun with it. And as a family, we would let her know, like, oh, that wasn't so good, or something that's really good. But that experiment, it is like an art, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's an art.
Yeah. So Trailblazer games, have you been to one yet?
Oh, I am a season ticket holder.
You are?
About 3 years ago, I became a fan. My first season, I just went to a bunch of games with my good friend Gustavo Gonzalez, and I fell in love. I love being at Moda Center. I love the fans. I love everything about Blazers basketball.
That's terrific because they've got some youngsters now. So Shaden, Scoot, Donovan Clingan, Tamani Kamara, Denny Avdia, people are excited about. Like, who's your favorite guy on the team right now?
I'm wearing his jersey. I gotta say Shaden Sharp. Just the vertical, the crazy dunks, just all of it. He's a great guy.
Dude, we were talking about him just a minute ago. He was the best dunker in the NBA last year.
Easily.
For one moment, I would like to know what it's like to have that type of leaping ability, right?
Absolutely. I would just being that high in the air off your own power, I could never imagine.
All right. So Earl's a very good friend. You said you've had a chance to learn from him over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
What's that been like?
It's been great. I love learning from Chef Earl. He's a really great guy, and it's cool that we're both from New York as well.
All right. Now, when you're in the culinary program, do you have to take other classes, or is everything just based out of here?
There are some other classes I had to take two math classes and an English class. But they were pretty basic level, early entry college level classes.
Yeah, I did that too. I had to take some entry level, and then slowly I worked my way up to college of algebra and stuff. So the campus has changed a lot. I think Earl was telling me that you guys grow some of your vegetables out here too, right?
Yeah, a lot of everything you see out here, pretty much all of it is edible, and it's all grown mostly by our chef Sonny.
And do you guys utilize that here in the restaurant?
Every day, yeah.
Gosh, that's pretty awesome. All right, so we were talking about the Vancouver food scene, which is getting better, but there's not too many options. But have you found any spots around Portland or anything in the area that you like, maybe pizza-wise or food-wise?
I know that there's one spot that I really like for pizza, which is, because it's my specialty, is the Blind Onion. It's really good. It's some of the best pizza I personally have had since I came over here.
I think there's one close by, too.
Oh, yeah, super close.
Yeah, right down there off Mill Plain and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's terrific. Robert Cohen is with us, second-year student here in the McClaskey Culinary Program. All right, so we're going to get a chance to talk to Owen a little bit later. Owen Rogers is another second-year student. Is he the one you're talking pizza with?
Yes.
That's good. Do you guys you have any name ideas on the restaurant yet?
We're thinking Blazin' Pizza is our run-in name right now.
Okay, Blazin' Pizza. Is that a tie into the Blazers?
No, it's not, but that's a good point. We do want to open it in Portland, so that would work out.
That's good. Now, why Blazin'?
We both enjoy smoking from time to time.
Okay, no, I understand. I get you. Now I get it. I'm slow, but now it never occurred to me. It's funny you mentioned that because I was talking to someone the other day, my buddy Travis, and he makes fun of me because I'm kind of gullible sometimes. But I grew up watching the Scooby-Doo cartoon, right? Mm-hmm. And I just thought that Shaggy and Scooby really liked Scooby snacks.
Yeah.
Well, when I saw the movie and they popped out of the Mystery Machine and there was a puff of smoke, I was like, oh, now it all sunk in, and Trav goes, you're such an idiot. But I didn't know that. No. I didn't realize that Scooby and Shaggy were stoners.
I never realized either. Oh, my gosh.
They were down with the Scooby snacks. Well, that's great, man. Blazing Pizza. And then what do you guys do you guys collaborate on pizza together or talk about pies? Like, how does that go?
Absolutely. All the time. We love to go over to his house and chop it up about food in general. We love talking. His parents are a bit more into culinary than mine, so they also give some good feedback.
That's great. I was told I've talked to several different restaurant owners, but what they've always said about Portland that makes Portland a good food scene is a couple of different things, and you can tell me if this makes sense. But one, he said that the people here in general are very embracing of all types of different cultures. So if you bring a good product and good service, people will give you a try. Also, they always talk about ingredients like you did, fresh ingredients, and the relationship, I guess, here between the farmers and the restaurants is really good, and that gets you the fresh ingredients to where you can have that farm-to-table concept.
Absolutely. One thing that I've learned through school is that a lot of people in Portland, they, like you had mentioned, they just want good ideas. They don't care if it's fancy or if you have all these Michelin stars or requirements. They just want good food that's creative and unique. That's
great. How old are you, by the way?
I'm 21.
Dude, you're you know what? If you decide that you ever want to veer into broadcasting, after you get Blazing Pizza up and running, you've got a spot, man. You're smooth.
Thank you.
But I appreciate you coming on and sharing the experiences, and thanks for having me out here today.
Of course, thank you for having me.
All right, Robert Cohen, second-year student here at the McClaskey Culinary Institute here on the show. We're going to talk to his future business partner, Owen Rogers, coming up here in a little bit. Earl will join me later in the show. You can jump on board. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. You can find me on social at Chad and Rip City. You got the Rip City Drive live on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. Yeah, it's true. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. There's no question about that. Rip City Drive live today from Clark College and the McClaskey Culinary Institute. East Coast Earl is the dean, and we're talking some food and getting a chance to talk to some of his students who are in the second year of the program, which is pretty cool. Chris Burkhart is with me today. Now, Burkhart, did you know when you watched the cartoon that Scooby and Shaggy were stoners?
Yes, I put that together pretty quickly because they had the munchies 24/7. They wanted Scooby snacks and then they wanted food after that. It didn't take long to realize what was going on.
It's just amazing to me that you would have a cartoon, and I should have known based on the time that it was, out like in the 60s and 70s. I guess it makes sense when I look back now because they were kind of hippies. But I had no idea. It just flew right over my head, and I had no idea they would have that type of innuendo in a kid's cartoon. But then when I saw the movie, I was like, the light bulb went on. That's how gullible I am.
Yes.
I was like, oh, that's why they're always so – they'll do anything for a Scooby snack. They're scared of ghosts. They don't want to do this. They don't want to do that. But if they know they can get a munch on something, they're all in.
Gosh. They were addicted. They kept coming back. It's kind of funny, though, when you think about it. And it's always funny, too, Chad, when you go back to, like, all your childhood cartoons. Like, even mine, and we were different eras, a little younger than you. But you still go back, and a lot of your childhood cartoons, like some of the adult innuendos that you do not catch, but then as an adult, when you go back, you're like, whoa, that was in my child show? It's kind of funny.
I was big on G.I. Joe when I was younger. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a tremendous cartoon. But when I go back and watch it now, same thing, like – some of the aggressive talk and the language, it's just impressive that they used to do that in a cartoon. It catches me by surprise. But again, when I was younger, I didn't pick up on any of that. It just flew right over my head.
No, you just wanted to be a G.I. Joe. That's all.
What cartoons did you grow up on? Because you're younger than I am.
Yeah, well,
like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yeah, so I was into that a little bit. And then big time was like the Sunday mornings when you had like you had Batman, the animated series, X-Men, and Spider-Man, and then I loved Doug and the Rugrats on Nickelodeon.
That was solid. Yeah, I think my favorite cartoon of all time is probably Super Friends, and that was the Hall of Justice with Superman, Batman, Robin, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Shazam, like the entire package. And some of the voices, Casey Kasem was the voice of Robin on that show. Mm-hmm. But yeah, those cartoons, I mean, Saturday mornings when I was a kid, from like 6 a.m. up until like 11 o'clock, there was like 5 straight hours of just bangers, man. Great cartoons. I loved it.
Yeah, and like kids today, Chad, they don't know the pain. Like my daughter was watching a show the other day, and it was an older show. It was like on Netflix or something, and what they did was they got to a part where they cut to black, and then it came right back after like a split second, and she goes, "Oh, that was for the olden days when they used to have to stop to play commercials." And I'm just like, you spoiled little brat.
They don't have to deal with any of that now.
They don't. And if they have to, they grew up calling them stinky commercials. They would get mad if there was a commercial on them. Like, you have no idea. Remember, like, listening to the radio, trying to record your favorite song, and if you missed it, you had to wait another hour for it to play again. Like, I mean, kids today, they just don't understand.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Do you think we had it better, or do they have it better?
Well, it depends what better you're after. I mean, they got it pretty good. They absolutely got it pretty good. I'm not the one who says, back in my day, and these kids aren't living a life. No, they have it plush. They're doing all the things kids do with a little extra technology. But even though we didn't have it, we still had it pretty good. We still had it pretty good.
Well, interesting. I think for me, probably the one thing I wish I had access to when I was younger, with the media now, with all the different options we have in terms of, YouTube or different streaming services or all the different TV channels, access to sports or getting access to the games you want to watch today is so much easier than what it used to be. When I was younger and growing up, and you can all relate to this, there was a time before NFL Sunday Ticket when you could not access games that were out of market. And so what I would do is I would take VHS tapes to my buddy Jed, who had one of those gigantic satellite dishes in their backyard. And for those of you who are younger, you don't understand this, but before DirecTV and satellites, these miniature satellites that you would prop up, on your roof, there were these gigantic satellites. I don't even know how much they cost, and they were huge, like the size of a tree, a small tree that would sit in your backyard, and you could pick up basically any station across the country. So if you wanted to watch an NFL game, if you had one of those giant dishes, you could just pull up the local channels in San Diego or Seattle or Denver or New York and watch the games that way. And that's how I would try to get close to my buddy Jed and say, hey, here's a VHS tape. Can you please record the Denver game for me this weekend? Because I knew locally they were going to show the Seahawks or whatever. But now we have access to everything. I didn't have that. Now I can watch an NFL game on my phone as I'm walking through the grocery store trying to pick up some items on a Sunday morning, Burkhart.
I know.
That's incredible.
It is pretty wild to think about. Like you said, you watching it in the grocery store, getting it, see the problems that we have, getting mad because you're like, gosh, I knew this Fred Meyer was a concrete box with bad cell reception. So then you start shopping faster so you can get back to the parking lot and get back to your cell signal. It's like I get it, but it's pretty nice what we can do.
The other thing that I think we win in terms of the generation that we grew up in is, I didn't have texting or email or any type of electronic communication when I was younger. So if I wanted to talk to somebody or if I wanted to ask somebody on a date, everything had to be done face-to-face or in conversation. And so I think that those challenges or the stress that you felt from that, and you put yourself in those situations and learn how to communicate with someone face-to-face, it better prepares you for your work and different things you do later in life. Like, Chris, you can walk into the studio and you and I can look at each other in the eye and have a conversation for 20 to 30 minutes talking about some type of sports nonsense, and we do it with ease because that's how we grew up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you're like me, too, is like you grew up talking about sports, too. Like, all my friends were sports nuts, and we'd sit there and talk. I had this little, Palm Pilot thing is the best way I could describe it, a little computer, and it was an NFL one, Chad, and I could type in Steve Young in 1993, and it would pop up his stats for that year. And I had this in my backpack all the time. I even had a book, like a Jerry Rice book and a Steve Young book. Those were the things I was reading. Then I'd pull out my little Pilot and bring up stats. Like, it was all sports all the time with my friends, man.
Yeah, maybe some of you can relate to this. I remember back in the early 90s, on the weekends I would watch the FNN channel, Financial News Network, because on the weekends they did all sports with different wagering shows, different sports updates, and then they would always run the advertisements for this sports pager, and I begged my dad to get it for me. It was a sports pager that would just give you constant updates on the sports scores. And I thought, man, that would be genius to have on a Sunday afternoon when the Broncos are playing and I'm not watching the game and I can't access the game, where I would know and be able to keep up on the scores. And this is right before, probably a few years before the internet became big. But my dad thought that a youngster at the age of 14 having a pager was ridiculous, and he would not get it for me. But I wanted that so bad because I wanted access to instant scores. And then shortly after that, all the papers, the Oregonian and the Columbian, they had like a telephone line you could call to get sports scores from your phone.
Chad, it's so funny you say that because I was just going to mention that. It was the Oregonian inside line. I would get home from school and I would call it, and you could type you would type the extension for your sport, and they'd give you scores and updates. And then I would also type in the wrestling extension, and they'd be like, tonight on WWE Raw, it's rumored that this person's going to win and they would tell you all the rumors. Yeah, and you could type in the NFL and it would tell you the trade rumors that were going on, give you the score updates. It was the first thing I did when I got home from school was dial the Oregonian inside line. I love that you brought that up.
They had an extension for wrestling?
Yes. So the updates for WCW Nitro and WWE Monday Night Raw, and they would tell you what was going on and who might sign with what other promotion. Oh, yeah, I called out Dwight remembers it. He and I talked about it a few times.
But doesn't that seem ridiculous when I'm holding a phone now where I can literally fire up an app and have access to any sports score or story instantly?
Yeah.
We used to make a phone call to get an update from the newspaper that would provide scores on a recorded line.
Yeah, we're pampered, man. We're pampered.
Gosh, that's so unreal. Wow. Yeah, it's changed.
Yeah,
that's
funny.
so good.
We went to the beach this past weekend because my oldest just turned 10, and she wanted to go to the beach. And so she was asking me a million questions about Terrible Tilly, right? The lighthouse out there. And I'm like,
Yes.
I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. And she's like, oh man, when we get home, I'm gonna YouTube so many videos about Terrible Tilly. And she did. Hey, Dad, did you know that it's 130 feet tall? And this is, I'm like, I do now, babe. I do now.
Well, that's one of the things that's great about a tool is, like Google, like I can be somewhere or looking at something like that, and I will often ask Google a question to give me more background data on something that I'm seeing for the first time. I love having access to that kind of information.
Yeah, and you and I talk about it all the time, too. The algorithms are good. They know exactly what I want to watch.
All right, we'll keep things rolling. Rip City Drive, Chris Burkhardt, Chad Doing. Hope you're enjoying your Thursday afternoon. I'm here at the McClaskey Culinary Institute, hanging out with my man East Coast Earl, who is the dean of the program, and we're going to talk some food. I'm going to have a chance to talk to more of his students, and we'll keep things rolling here. You got the Rip City Drive with Chad Doing on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, what's going on? 4 o'clock chat here from college football. The season kicks off this weekend. 5 games on Saturday. Top 25 matchup at 9 o'clock on ESPN from Dublin, Ireland. Kansas State and Iowa State. Big 12 battle. Right now the Wildcats are favored by 3. In other news, the SEC is going to move to a 9 conference game schedule starting in 2026. Under this new format, the SEC will continue to play without divisions. Each school will play 3 annual opponents focused on maintaining traditional rivalries. From the NFL, Shedeur Sanders expected to play in the Browns' preseason finale coming up on Saturday. Cleveland will play their starters in prep for the regular season, including 20 to 25 plays for starting quarterback Joe Flacco. The Mariners return home and open up a set against the A's tomorrow night at T-Mobile Park. Seattle has lost 5 straight. They're 1.5 back behind Houston in the West. More of the Rip City Drive coming at you right now. Boy, Chris Burkhardt pulling a Michael Shacker and going with a heavy metal reset of a Genesis song. I like that. You can reach out to me. Find me on social at Chad and Rip City. You can call the show at 503-248-0620. You can always listen live and podcast the show via our free iHeartRadio app. That's a great way to keep up on all things 620 Rip City Radio. And, of course, we have YouTube. Go to our homepage there, youtube.com, Rip City Radio 620. And you can always follow the shows. Any of our local shows are streamed, and you can find old shows there as well. So, I'm continuing to dive into YouTube, and I've found a couple of more channels. I think I'll get into that tomorrow. But, as always, if you've come across a good YouTube spot or a channel that you like, send it over to me because I'm all about checking them out. I found this guy that covers different business topics, and he's focused on some big iconic brands that have gone through the entire process. Start out small, become massive, go through struggles, sometimes bankruptcy, sometimes closure, but this guy's really good, and he packages them up in like 10 to 15-minute videos, which are great for consumption. But I'm amazed, too, like my dad's big on YouTube as well, for news or different stories, or he finds these different videos. Like he was watching these ones the other day. He was telling me about where they're like these different type of, like mowers and tree shredders and different types of gadgets that can pull stumps out of the ground. And he'll watch that stuff for hours. It's just amazing what you've got access to. Any type of topic, genre, you name it, it's there for you. So you can jump on board 503-248-0620. That is the telephone number here on the program. And coming up here in about 15 minutes as we continue live here from the McClaskey Culinary Institute at Clark College, we're going to talk to another student of East Coast Earls, and his name is Orrin Rogers. He is also a second-year student, so we'll get his take. And I believe that he could be a future business partner of the gentleman we talked to earlier in Robert Cohen. And they're going to prepare some food for me today, and I think in honor of the idea of blazing pizza, they got some pizza in the oven right now, so we'll see what they got cooked up for us. But feel free to jump on board, 503-248-0620. That is the telephone number. And other than that, just looking forward to the weekend with college football right around the corner. I can't believe we got 5 games this weekend, and then we're going to get into the full action starting on August 28th. So Thursday, a week from tonight, we'll kick off the first full weekend, and then we're going to have nothing but games, throughout the rest of the weekend going into Labor Day with games on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it's going to be sweet, and there's a lot of big matchups. I still can't believe that Texas and Ohio State are playing a game on August 30th. And I can't wait to see it because we got 2 new quarterbacks and 2 iconic brands and 2 teams that are expected to be right there in the mix for the national championship. And I think right now there's probably 8 teams I would say 8 teams is probably a good place to start in terms of teams that have a legitimate chance to win the national championship. But what's amazing is only 2 of those teams, Penn State being one and Clemson the other, who have the same quarterback returning from last year. Now, there are other teams who are somewhat contenders who have the same quarterback back with experience, like Arizona State. But of the top teams that people believe have a legit chance to win a national championship, only 2 of those teams have a quarterback returning. Texas is going to go with Arch Manning. And I can't wait to see him play because when you think Manning, you think Eli and Peyton. 2 guys who were your traditional pocket-type quarterbacks. You know, good footwork in the pocket, get rid of the football on time and on target, and they played the game more traditionally. But Arch Manning is not like Peyton or Eli. Yeah, he can throw the football. Yes, he's got, arm talent. He's accurate. He makes good decisions. But he's much more athletic and can move. And so if you think about that type of combination and what it could do for Texas, who's already loaded up with talent, and if you look at the SEC right now, Texas probably is the most talented team in the conference. But the problem is they've got to play at Georgia this year. And it's not like Georgia's lacking in talent. They're loaded up. Kirby Smart's amazing. But it's going to be fun to see what they can do with that type of quarterback who is accurate, good decision maker, by all accounts a very good leader. Steve Sarkisian has really been singing the praises of Arch and his dedication, his work ethic, and the way that he approaches the game. What I thought was bizarre, the Manning family is pretty buttoned up in terms of how they handle their business. I was surprised that there was a little bit of controversy created by Archie Manning, who came out talking about how long Arch was going to be at Texas. And Archie's like, hey, I don't know where he got that. I have a great relationship with my grandfather, but I'm just focused on the first game. I mean, the last thing you want if you're Arch Manning right now is distractions. And there's pressure on Steve Sarkisian. This is a loaded-up roster. He's expected to win. And they got to play their first game at Ohio State. But Texas has got a new quarterback, Arch Manning. Penn State, who many believe the odds-on favorite to win the championship this year. I don't. I think they're going to be a playoff team, but I've yet to see them really make hay when it matters most. Drew Aller's back for them, and they've got a great offensive line, probably the best in the country. Julian Sayin is going to get the start for Ohio State, so a new starter for them. Klubnik will return for Clemson, and Clemson has maybe the best inside shot at the number 1 seed in the playoff because of the conference they're in. But they've got a lot of experience returning on both sides of the football and experience at quarterback. Georgia, right now ranked number 5 in the AP, number 4 in the coaches. They've got a new quarterback, as does Notre Dame, as does Oregon in Dante Moore, as does Alabama. Now, those are your top 8 teams right there. Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, Notre Dame, Oregon, and Bama. So the question is, are there more teams that could factor in? Right behind Bama, LSU at 9, Miami at 10, Arizona State at 11, Illinois at 12. Now, Illinois is interesting because they're not considered a threat in the Big Ten because you've got Oregon, Ohio State, and Penn State, but they're returning almost all of their starters from a team last year that surprised many by winning 10 games. So we'll see what they're about. So I would say, I'd say that number's about right. Maybe there's an outsider who will factor in, but of legit national title contenders, there's somewhere between 6 to 8 teams. But I think the top 8 right now in the country all have a legitimate chance, but the unknown factor with the quarterback play is going to be very interesting. And with Oregon, and this is what's great about Oregon this year, I really think Dante Moore and the way he's going to mesh with Will Levis, I can't wait to see it because I think Levis is going to be able to call more and be more aggressive in different ways with the type of athlete that Dante Moore is. But where I'm most excited to watch Oregon is defensively. I mean, they're loaded up in the secondary, which means they're going to be able to play the type of coverages they want. But the work they've done on that defensive line, especially a defensive tackle, I think they're going to be more stout against the run, continue to generate a very good pass rush like we saw last year. But with that stoutness against the run, I think Oregon's got a chance to be a top 10 defense. And when you combine that with what should be a better run game and then the explosive plays with Dante Moore, I think Oregon's got a chance to be really good. But we're almost afraid to say it because we don't quite know what to expect. We knew what we were going to get from Bo Nix especially in year number 2. There were question marks coming in from Auburn, but it didn't take long to figure out that Bo Nix was legit. And with Dylan Gabriel, we'd seen enough of him at UCF and Oklahoma to know that the Ducks were getting a high-level quarterback with experience who would be able to do things a certain way. And he did. But what Moore's going to bring to the Ducks offense this year, I think that's different, is the ability to stretch the field. And it's not that Gabriel's got a weak arm, but he can't stretch the defense like certain guys can. You know, Bo Nix has got good arm talent. Dante Moore's got exceptional arm talent. And I think what I like about Moore, you know, he went to UCLA so he could get a chance to play, but then took a step back and realized that going back to Oregon was the best move for him. And he was patient during the process. And as a result, you get more time under your belt. You get a chance to learn the offense, work with Will Levis, and now he has a chance to take over. And I just think that it's got a chance to be special, meaning you don't have people looking at Moore as a potential Heisman candidate right now, but with his skill set and in that offense and the players he's got around him, you know, Moore, especially if they have success at Penn State early in the season, September, he's got a chance to really emerge. But what I love about Dan Lanning is, you know, just the relentless attention to detail on the roster by hitting the portal, being aggressive there, recruiting and bringing in a different type of, you know, athlete and guys who can play up on the defensive front. Because in order to compete and to be a legit title contender, you've got to be able to win those battles at the line of scrimmage. And I think this year the Ducks defense, especially up front, with those defensive tackles, I think they're going to be special. And I think that gives them an opportunity to go into Penn State and get the win. And how great would that be with Penn State thinking they're all that they've got a pathway to the national championship, that Oregon could go in there and knock them out. And I've seen enough Penn State to know this. I like what they have with the offensive line. I think their running back group is amazing, and I think they're going to be able to run the football and be effective, but I have not seen them be explosive enough with the pass game to where I consider them a big threat. We'll see. We'll see what they're made of. The advantage for Penn State, though, going into that game against Oregon, they get a freaking bye week. You know, Oregon's going to play a busy schedule early, and they don't get the benefit of the rest and that preparation time like Penn State will going into that big home game. So that's going to be pretty awesome. And then we'll see how things shake out. Ohio State, we'll see what Sam looks like against Texas, but I'm calling my shot right now. I like Ohio State to beat Texas at home. You know, all eyes are on Texas. All eyes are on Arch Manning. I think Ohio State's just kind of lying in the weeds waiting for Texas to arrive, and then they can jump them. But I got to give Sarkisian credit. I don't like Texas, and I never will because I grew up in Oklahoma. But I think Sarkisian's done a heck of a job with that program. And in today's world of college football with NIL and the different ways that you can entice athletes, Texas money is huge. They have an entire machine there with the type of money that's flowing into that program, and that gives them a chance to really be dominant. So we'll see if they can put it all together this year with Arch Manning. But again, the big advantage for Georgia in the SEC this year is that the 3 games that they struggled with on the road last year, Bama, Ole Miss, and Texas, they get all of those games at home this year. And they never lose a home game under Kirby Smart. I don't think they've lost a home game in like 5 years. So that's a major advantage. And a lot of times, you know how it works with the conference, especially when you come from one of these power conferences, how the schedule lays out for you can be critical. So we'll see. I'm pumped. I can't wait to see Dante Moore. I like him. I like his athleticism. I like the arm talent. And I can't wait to see how he looks unleashed by Will Levis in this offense. And the good thing about Oregon, they get a couple of tune-ups to kind of get things together. And I think the key for them early is just to get that offensive line gelled and up to speed so that when they hit Penn State against that defensive front and the athletes are going to see that they can, you know, really play as one. And you know how that works with the offensive line. You need 5 guys operating as one. You need the continuity. You need them to be together on the same page, and they're going to need that for the protection of Moore and to be able to produce some of that run game against Penn State. So we'll see how it comes together. But that's my biggest concern early is just seeing how that offensive line and the players they've got there can come together and gel. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Rip City Drive live here at the McClaskey Culinary Institute at Clark College, along with Earl Frederick. When we come back, we'll talk to another student who is also in the second year. His name is Owen Rogers. You can find me on social at Chad and Rip City. You can call the show at 503-248-0620. You got the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, we're live here at the McClaskey Culinary Institute at Clark College. The first student we talked to was Robert Cohen, who is a second-year student in the program, and joining us now is a gentleman who just began his second year in the program, Owen Rogers. My man Robert is originally from Rochester, but you're born and raised right here in Vancouver.
Born and raised in Vancouver, that's it.
And you went to Union High School.
Mm-hmm.
I'm jealous, man, because when I was going to high school, I went to Prairie, which was relatively new, but then all of a sudden Heritage and Skyview, and then I drove past this place called Union. These new schools started popping up, but Union looks like an impressive high school campus.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I went there, I mean, there are 6 different buildings, and they're each just ginormous. So it really gets you ready for the college walk to class.
Yes.
And it really gets you ready for that. Fun fact, actually, when they were building it, it was supposed to be a community college, but they made the parking lot too small, and they couldn't fit all those people in there, so they were like, let's make it a high school.
Gosh, that's pretty awesome. I didn't know that. It's definitely an impressive look, and I know what it's like when you are done with high school and you start looking at colleges or what am I going to do with my life. Like, it's kind of scary because you don't really know, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time to figure it out. I did my 2 years at Clark, and then I went to Washington State. And you went to Washington State as well as you were trying to figure it out. You thought you wanted to be a teacher, but then you went in a different direction. So kind of walk me through the process for how you ended up here in the culinary program.
So I ended up leaving WSU and came back home and got a job in this little mom-and-pop shop restaurant. And, I started out as a fry cook, just doing fries and all the chicken tenders and all of that. And it really made me have a deeper love for food and what put some passion behind what I was making. And then from there, I realized that this is something I'm actually decent at, and I could have a career in this. So I started chipping away at the prerequisites I needed to get done to get in the program, and now here I am.
That's great. So the job, and as you started working with food, helped you discover that, hey, I've got a bigger love for food, and you knew that you wanted to pursue that. Mm-hmm. Was that nice when you finally discovered that, like, hey, I really have a passion for this, I want to do it?
I mean, yeah, I kind of grew up in the kitchen with my mom and dad. I grew up cooking with them all the time.
Yeah.
So I knew I had a love of food already from, like, the family collectiveness and, like, the bringing people together. That's always been super special to me about food. But I think what really made it take off for me was the getting to see people's faces after I cooked them that food and just see their faces light up. That's what really gets me, active about cooking.
That's great. Robert is really big on pizza, as you know. But for you, you really enjoy working with different types of, Japanese cuisine.
Yeah, I've always been into Japanese cuisine. I mean,
Do you make your own ramen?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to make the broth, the noodles, the soft-boiled egg, the pork belly. You got to have the mushrooms, all of that.
I love ramen, and I do love Japanese cuisine. But how did you discover your love for that?
I mean, when I was a kid, I made top ramen every way you could think of. I mean, I put everything you could think of in that, and just tested it out. If it didn't work, all right, I'm not doing that one again.
I loved doing that when I was younger. I would take, because ramen's such a genius snack for kids after school because it's so cheap, but I would always try to find other things in the kitchen I could add to the ramen to make it more presentable, or I would just have fun with it, right? So I could sit down, eat my ramen, watch a little TV after school. I enjoyed doing that.
Yeah. But
sushi, do you make sushi as well?
I've made sushi a couple of times. It's harder than it looks. Way harder than it looks.
Like what about the process for making sushi was harder than what you thought it would be?
Getting the shape right. I mean, they make it look so easy when you're out at the restaurant, but getting that shaped, like to make it actually look like a roll, it's so difficult.
How did it come out the first time you made it?
Lumps. It was just lumps.
You know what's amazing? It always comes back to ingredients, whether you're talking about pizza or sushi. But I had tried sushi before when I was younger, and I thought, well, this is hideous, right? But then when I went back and gave it a second chance, I had gone to a couple of spots where they were top-notch sushi restaurants, and I realized what the difference was. It's because I was eating fresh fish, and it changed my entire outlook on everything. And now nigiri, which is just fresh fish rolled around rice, is one of my favorite items.
I mean, it's so simple that, you don't really need to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
And I think that, the best place to order sushi is probably, of course, on the coast. I mean, if you're if you're going to Minnesota and ordering sushi, there might be a lot of red flags in the air. Might not be the freshest fish.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, different parts of the country, I find that fascinating. Like when you travel around, based on geography, certain places are better for certain items, right? Like if you're up in the Northeast, it's probably a good place to get lobster, or places that have easy access to the fish, right? In other areas, if you go to, Nebraska or Iowa, some of the vegetables or the corn might taste different than it does here, right?
Yeah, so much. I mean, it really depends on your soil content and your pH levels and all that little nitty-gritty science.
Well, you've just started the second year of the program. So, what are some of the things that you've learned that maybe you didn't expect, so far going through the first year?
I took a really awesome class my first semester where I got to actually work with a professional butcher, and he taught us how to break down whole cows, whole sheep, whole pigs, and chickens too. It's just such a cool thing that I never thought I would get to learn myself, but now that I know it, it's such a useful skill that I have in my backpack that I could just pull out whenever I need.
And you could use that. You can take that skill anywhere. So if I handed you so you would know how to handle any of those animals now based on the experience you had.
It might take me a minute, but yeah, I could figure it out.
So, because it is fascinating to know where to cut, how much fat to leave on, and everything like that. I love watching cooking shows, so I'm always amazed when you go around seeing people carve up the meat, or these different butcher shops. In fact, the gentleman that's with us, Chris Burkhardt, who's back in the studio, his dad, they own a butcher shop over in Southeast Portland, right? And Chris, does your dad cut up the meat as well, or does it come prepared already?
So it comes in chunks, and it comes already butchered, but he knows how to do the full breakdown. In fact, he does quite a few every year for a bunch of friends because he knows the different ranchers and stuff like that. Hey, I got a cow. I need to break down. Can you help me? Oh yeah, I'm on it. Or hunters and all that. So I've seen him do that, and it's fun because as you guys are talking, it's once you know how to do one, you can pretty much start working your way around the other animals too. But there is a way to do it, and once you find out how to do it, it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's a great skill to have, and I would imagine, different restaurants or different places you may work or may not work in the future, you could take those skills with you. What are some things that are coming up in the second year of the program that you're looking forward to doing and learning?
We have this what is it called again? There's a packet that we have to do where we have to make our own brick and mortar restaurant.
Yes.
And me and Robert actually had the very similar idea.
So it's like putting together a business plan.
Yeah. The idea was that we'd start our own pizza place.
Blazin' Pizza,
Blazin' Pizza, yeah. The idea was we started with the idea of having it being associated with some sort of not distillery, but a some sort of herbery, and make it into almost like a tasting room.
Yes.
But with how I've looked into the laws with that, and it's really difficult to open a tasting room anywhere in Portland. Just with how the laws are around that, there's a lot of gray area that they kind of leave on purpose.
Yeah, I understand that, and that would be. I mean, if you could mix both of those things together. The need for the pizza would be extreme, right?
Yeah, I mean that would be a huge driver in the pizza.
That's actually a genius idea. Here, we're going to give you this, and then we know after you have this, you're going to want a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. The goal would be you'd go in, you'd get something, and you get after you buy your stuff, they give you a receipt, and you give the receipt to the pizza truck,
yes,
and you get 10-15% off.
Yeah, that's a terrific idea. I was telling him that sometimes I'm a bit gullible, so I had no idea when I used to watch the Scooby-Doo cartoons when I was younger why Scooby and Shaggy were always wanting Scooby snacks until I saw the movie, and I was like, I get it now. Yeah, the light bulb went on in my head. All right, so pizza, you guys are talking about doing a pizza restaurant together. What type of pizza do you like? Do you like all kinds, or is there a specific style?
I like it all, but I mean, my dad's from Chicago, so I grew up with deep dish. And I
it is wonderful, by the way.
it's great. I think it's got a special place in my heart, honestly. There's something about a Lou Melinati's deep dish pizza. I mean, it reminds me of going back east and seeing my grandparents when I was younger.
So, different places. Like I talked to a guy from Philadelphia, and I said, okay, what's the key to a good Philly cheesesteak? And he said, it's the bread. The bread is critical, the rolls that they use. What's the key to a good deep dish pizza?
Your sauce. It's got to be the sauce. I mean, I feel like you got to have your herbs and your spices in there, and if your sauce isn't there, then, I mean, it's just bread and cheese.
Now, do you experiment at home with different foods?
Oh, yeah. All the time. If I can. If I have the time at home, then I try to get a little crazy in the kitchen.
Do you prefer making like dinners or breakfast, or what type of things do you like to experiment with?
I like dinners. Normally I'm cooking. Like last week, I made a pork belly taco. Super simple. I mean, I just threw down some pieces of bacon in a pan, heated up some tortillas, and then wham.
Well, that sounds pretty amazing. Yeah. How did it turn out?
Oh, it was great.
What type of toppings did you put on the tacos?
There were some pickled red onions, some cheddar cheese. I think there was a little bit of cilantro and green onion just for some nice crunch and some texture background.
Now, do you share the food with family members to get feedback on what they think?
I think that's might be the biggest part of why I do what I do, so I can get feedback.
I asked Robert the same question, but like for people like me who are making food at home, or maybe your parents or family members, like what do you think are maybe one or two of the biggest errors that we make with food that we don't need to make? Is it over seasoning? Is it overcooking? Like, what's a common mistake that you think people make?
I think a common mistake that's often done with cooking is that people often look at it like it has to be perfect every time. And I know that you're just making food for your family, but at the same time, it's your family.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to love you no matter what you make.
Yeah.
So have a little fun. Mess around. Get a little crazy with it. Throw a little salt. Throw a little cayenne pepper in there. Get a little crazy.
Have you gotten crazy with like a certain ingredient or spice that you didn't expect to be good? That you're like, hey, that's not bad.
I've started adding a lot of lavender to steak because I really like the nose that it brings out and the natural herbiness that it gives to the steak.
Interesting.
Yeah,
that's good. So you're going to continue to use more of that then.
Oh, definitely.
That's awesome. All right. So you said that you aren't a huge sports fan, but you do enjoy hockey. So you went to a lot of Winterhawk games growing up?
Winterhawks, Blackhawks out in Chicago. I went to a couple playoff games out there against the Bruins, and it was a great game. There was a hat trick, and my grandfather tried to take my hat off my head and throw it on the ice, and I was like, "No, Grandpa, don't take my hat."
That's great. Is most of your family originally from Chicago?
Yeah, my dad's side of the family's out there in Chicago.
Yeah, my brother lived in Chicago for a long time. What a great city.
And yeah.
It's a good food city too, right?
Great food city. I mean,
What else does Chicago do well? We know that they have their deep dish pizza, but what else can you find in Chicago that's really good?
A real good Chicago dog. I mean,
now what is a Chicago dog?
You got to have the steamed poppy seed bun, and a lot of people don't do that, but you got to have the steamed poppy seed bun. The sport peppers. You got to have your kosher beef Frank hot dog.
Oh yeah.
I mean, those are necessary items. Without those, it's not a Chicago dog.
And how would you steam a bun at home?
You could do it on you put it in a little saute pan, and then just grab some water in your hand, throw it in the pan real quick, put the lid on, and let it naturally just build that up. Try to get the bread nice and toasty, but not soggy, if you will.
Yeah, those kosher dogs are tasty.
They're great.
Yeah, the steamed bun, it's amazing, but that little action of steaming the bun changes the entire experience.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it changes the whole hot dog, really.
Yeah, that's great. So Chicago dogs, deep dish pizza. Is there anything else they specialize in?
Maybe like Lou Melinati's not the pizza dressing. The salad dressing is pretty good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my brother swears by it.
Yeah, every time we go out there, my grandmother goes, she'll send us 3 or 4 bottles a year from Chicago.
Gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, when I used to spend a lot of time like you with my nana and my mom in the kitchen and stuff. So there were certain things I was running a soup kitchen down in Oakland for a couple of years, and so I would call my mom for different recipes, but then she taught me over the phone how to make because I was cooking for a bunch of people, so how to take a recipe and then expand it out to where you could prepare it on a larger scale.
Yeah.
But it was scary because I had no idea what I was doing. But like you said, I just experimented with it and figured it out. But I had fun, just trying.
Oh yeah, I feel like that's 90% of cooking though. It's just like trying.
Yeah.
A lot of people are scared to cook because they're scared to mess up.
Yeah.
So, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. Something burns or doesn't taste good.
Oh well, try again.
Yeah. My favorite thing though was when my Nana would make hotcakes because she did it a certain way, and so she wrote everything down for me before she passed to make sure that I followed all the proper steps, because there's just some people, they make something, one particular item, a certain way that no one else can touch.
It's like when you're a kid and your mom makes your baked potato.
Yeah.
Every time. She's got to make it every time if she's there.
Yeah, and anyone else that makes it, it's not the
as
same
good.
thing.
Yeah, it's not as good.
Well, I tell you what, man, I can't decide. Both you and Robert were awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Of course. I'm glad I could be here. And,
so you're just starting then. So when will you complete the program?
I should be done by next spring.
All right. And you guys are making pizza right now, right?
We are making pizza right now.
What kind?
I think it's just cheese.
Oh, sweet.
Should be nice. Should be good though. We put some. Made sure to put some love in that one.
Okay, I love it. Our Vancouver's own Owen Rogers here on the Rip City Drive. I appreciate your time, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll keep things rolling here on the Rip City Drive. We'll be joined by Earl Frederick. East Coast Earl coming up next hour. You can jump on board 503-248-0620. Find me on social at Chad and Rip City. You got the Rip City Drive here on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, this is such a great tweet. Scotty Bethune has chimed in, and he reached out to both Chris and I. He said, my daughter gets mad at me when we're watching live television and I'm not fast-forwarding through commercials. She has no concept that it's live TV and we don't even have the option. I mean, that's exactly what it is. It's like, no, you don't understand, honey. This is live. Like, it's actually happening right now. We cannot fast-forward it. This game that we're watching, it's happening in real time. We cannot fast-forward through the commercials. I think my dad's gotten pretty much in the habit of, he'll DVR all the games so he can, watch a game in a much shorter period of time. When I get those NFL, recuts as part of the Sunday Ticket, so what happens is you can watch the game live on Sunday Ticket on YouTube, which is awesome. But then after the games are played, then they put all the games back up in like a recut. So you get the full game, but they cut out all of the nonsense, and you can watch a full game in like 30 minutes. So if you want to be able to keep up on all the NFL action, just utilize that because you can watch a game and see all the key plays in a very short period of time. And it's impossible to do that when, the traditional game with the commercials and all the dead time, you're talking about, 3.5 hours, possibly 4, depending on the length of the game. All right, I want to bring on, I just got notification with picture. I said yesterday, I told this story, I took my daughter to get her driver's permit, her learner's permit, and she's got it. But unfortunately, her first drive in town did not happen with me in the car. I think it was with Grandma. So let's go to Kaylee right now, who is joining me. Hey, Kaylee, I'm glad you called in. So you just completed your first drive. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's true. We're in the car right now.
How did it go?
Pretty good. I mean, I didn't hit anything, so that's good.
Well, I think the important question is, how did Grandma handle you driving her around town?
A lot better than my mom did.
I love that so much. Now, I was told that you were having a little bit of issues just getting used to the brake and the gas in terms of how to finesse the pedals. How did that go for you?
Doing good. Grandma said I'm doing good. We're in the Kohl's parking lot. When I was pulling into Kohl's, I almost hit a car, but
she was going too fast.
But I didn't hit anyone.
Well, the good thing is the best. Oh, you've got a heavy foot, honey? Oh, that's okay. So, are you having fun, though?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to drive on the freeway back.
Oh, you're going to go on the freeway?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I didn't need to know that. Well, I'm glad that it's Grandma's car, not mine. But I'm glad you're doing it. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, Dad.
Okay, I love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye. There you go. There's Kaylee checking in from her very first drive. I can't believe that Grandma is letting her do that. But then again, I've seen Grandma drive, and I think Kaylee's probably better now than she is.
Hey, grandmas are the best, okay? So my grandma, rest her soul, Chad, she knew that I wanted to drive, right? And my mom barely let me learn. She was afraid. So my grandma would be like, I need to go to Walmart. But she would choose to go to the Walmart in Vancouver, not the one that was literally right next to her house, so that she could be like, hey, Chris, do you want to drive me to Walmart? And she would let me drive. Grandmas are the best.
I agree. Wasn't it you that were telling me, like, your grandma would always have the food that you wanted to eat ready for you to eat when you went to her house?
Yeah, because my mom's mom, she was working at McDonald's for a bit, so I had McDonald's at her house in the freezer. It was when the dollar menu first came out, so she would just load it up on dollar quarter pounders, and then and then my other grandma, my dad's mom, she was a lunch lady in the Centennial School District, and so she'd get all the hot dogs and the hamburgers and the chocolate milk cartons too, and go over to that grandma's house, and you'd have lunch ready to go. So yeah, we got hooked up as kids.
You're right, dude. I'm not going to lie, man. Grandmas are the best.
The best.
Like, the best. And it didn't matter. My mom's mom, my grandma, when I knew what days she would go grocery shopping, and she would go and do all of her grocery shopping, and she would always let me and my brother pick out, a cereal and some snacks that we wanted because she knew that we needed munchies there in the house. That was great. And then my Nana would do the same thing. Like, I know that she was probably scared, but she would let me drive her around when I was learning how to drive too, and it was fun because I don't know if she was scared or not, but she was more than willing to do it. And you don't realize it when you're young, but the amount of time that they spend going out of their way to take care of you, you look back at it now and you're like, man, I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
so cool.
You said you couldn't tell if grandma was scared. One thing I've learned is not enough grandmas play poker because every single grandma has a really, really good poker face. Like if they were scared, you wouldn't know it because they shot straight.
Dude, the only time they always shot straight. Like I'll never forget the time Nana made me cry because I shot her bird feeder with my Daisy dual pellet and BB gun, and she came out and she saw what I did, and she looked me straight in the eye, and she goes, "Why would you do that, Chad? I'm really disappointed in you." And it just broke me down. I could not handle her disappointment in me because that's the one lady that I wanted to always be proud of me, and I really upset her when I did that.
Oh, absolutely.
I blasted it to smithereens, too. But what are you supposed to do? I'm like 8 or 9 years old. Of course I'm going to shoot things I shouldn't shoot. You just gave me a dual pellet BB gun. What am I supposed to do? Be responsible?
No, I just laugh when you tell stories. It's like your childhood was like a cross between like Little House on the Prairie and Dennis the Menace. Like you just, I love it.
Oh gosh, but dude, you're so screwed. I have one daughter. You've got it times 3. Like last night I was dealing with like some irritable PMS type stuff, and then today she's out driving a car for the first time. Like it's too much going on there. Too much. And then I have to be careful because I talk loud by nature because I'm a radio guy.
Same.
And so everyone thinks I'm always yelling. Like, why are you yelling? It's like, I'm not yelling. But I have to be careful with my voice inflections because I can upset her sometimes if I'm talking too loud.
Jason Quick would always yell at me when we were traveling back in the day. He's like, "Why are you yelling?" I go, "I'm not. I'm just using my indoor voice." And we're at the airport. And he's like, "Well, they can hear you 10 gates down, Burkhart. Tone it down a little bit."
I do like that about you. You and I are both. We don't offend one another because we're both loud talkers.
No. And then you add like Brendan in the mix, who makes me seem quiet sometimes. And it's just a radio thing, man. We're all loud all the time.
Yeah. There's a reason why we want to get behind a microphone because we can't stop yapping. Brendan's he talks a mile a minute too. It's like, dude, shut up.
He
he won't.
An auctioneer.
I admire auctioneers. I can't do it. I tried doing an auction one time, and I just can't do it. I don't know how those guys talk so fast. You ever been to a legit auction?
I have not.
Oh, it's the best. I used to go to those when I was younger in Oklahoma, like a cattle auction, and the guy with the microphone was simply amazing. It's a true skill. I can't even talk that fast. Do you remember the Micro Machine commercials?
Oh, yeah.
That guy was amazing. So there you go. That's what's going on in my life. My daughter is driving Grandma around right now. But as I said, no disrespect to Grandma, but Kaylee will often tell me, like, yeah, I went with Grandma here, and she almost hit this, and this. I don't think Grandma is as accurate with her driving as she used to be. So maybe it's better that Kaylee's driving her. No experience compared to someone that's not quite as tight as they used to be. Oh, my goodness.
I want to know if Kaylee played it off cool, though, because when I was learning to drive, I was backing up out of the parking lot as well, learning to drive in my dad's big Dodge truck, and I almost hit a tree. And he's like, "There's a tree right there." And I did not see this tree, and I almost got it. But cool, calm Chris was like, "Yeah, Dad, I saw it. Don't worry. That's why we didn't hit it, because I knew it was there." I had no idea it was there.
And that was before, like, backup cameras and stuff, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, long before.
Like old school. Oh, my goodness. All right. I'm here live at the McClaskey Culinary Institute, the program led by Earl Frederick, who's going to join me next hour. And they have made pizza for me and the family, which is awesome. But having a good time hanging out. You can jump on board 503-248-0620. And, of course, you can always listen live and podcast the show on our free iHeartRadio app. You got the Rip City Drive with Chad doing on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, what's going on, my friends? It's now 5 o'clock. Chad with you. The Mariners are going to return home to open up a set against the A's. That's coming up tomorrow night at T-Mobile Park. Seattle in need of a win. They dropped 5 straight, but only 1.5 games behind Houston in the West. From the NFL, Shedeur Sanders expected to play in the Browns preseason finale on Saturday, coming off the oblique injury. Cleveland going to play their starters, including 20 to 25 plays for their starting quarterback, Joe Flacco. The SEC has made a move that will begin next year. 9 conference games under the new format. They will continue to play without divisions, and each school will play 3 annual opponents so they can maintain traditional rivalries. We're going to have college football this week, and if you can believe it, 5 games Saturday, top 25 matchup at 9 on ESPN from Dublin to Ireland, Kansas State, and Iowa State. More of the Rip City Drive coming at you right now. All right, one of our favorite college football NFL draft experts, Joe DeLeon, put out a sweet note. He says you should be allowed to include Fantasy Football League commissioner under skills on your resume. The patience and coordination required to wrangle your idiot friends for a draft is on another level. But I'll tell you what, there's one thing you could not pay me enough money to do, and that is to be a commissioner of a fantasy football league. It's not going to happen. And I remember the first league I got into was back in 1993. And I remember going over to this guy's house, and everything was done on this gigantic whiteboard. There was no internet. There was no apps on the phone. I didn't even have a cell phone. No one had a cell phone. And we did the draft in person. And everything was written up on the board. And then when you wanted to make a change to your league or a trade had been agreed upon, or you wanted to set your starting lineup, you had to call the commissioner on the phone and speak to him, and then give him your lineup, or leave a voicemail before the deadline to make sure that he got your lineup. Can you imagine that? I actually lived that. And then once technology got a hold of things, it changed dramatically. But my whole thought is like with the onset of, gambling and how the feds, turned it over to the states. You've got so many of these different states now that offer the gambling. I just don't understand why, if you're playing fantasy football, why not just, do your small bets or whatever. It's just easier, not as time consuming. What I do like about playing fantasy football, though, or fantasy sports in general, is that it forces me to focus on all these different players who play on multiple different teams. And so I just naturally pick up a lot of knowledge about different teams, different situations, different stats, different lineups, things that I normally wouldn't be paying attention to, but I do because of a fantasy football team. So I actually utilize fantasy football as a way for natural prep, just so I'm aware of more. Because there's so many different storylines between college and the NFL, it's hard to keep track of all of it in my mind sometimes. It's crazy. So, anywho, that's where we're at. I am here live at Clark College, and I'm here at the McClaskey Culinary Institute, and my man Earl Frederick is the man behind the program, and he's going to join me here on the program here in about 15 minutes. We'll get a chance to talk with him. It was great to be able to talk to a couple of his students and the progress that they're making in the program, Robert Cohen and Owen Rogers. But I just found this out that this program is the only culinary program within 150 square miles of the area. And so we'll talk with Earl about the program and some of the benefits. And, I think it's great that you can come into a program, get plugged in, and have, a very usable skill that you can take to the marketplace and be able to get a job. And so Earl will join us coming up here in a few minutes. If you want to jump on board, you can, find me on social, on X, at Chad and Rip City. You can also call the show at 503-248-0620. And, of course, we're on YouTube. Just pull up our homepage, Rip City Radio 620, and you can like and subscribe to the page. and, of course, utilize the iHeartRadio app. It's a great way to podcast a show and be able to listen live. You can Bluetooth it through your car. Many different options for you. My main focus right now is just on football season. And we got the big games coming up this weekend. One big game, the Big 12. We've talked about these different conferences, across the country. And it's so weird because each conference is a little bit different. The ACC is really a one-team conference this year with Clemson. And they're going to be one of the top teams in the country. And they've got a lot of experience returning. I think the Big Ten is really about 3 teams, Ohio State, Oregon, and Penn State. You can slot them however you want, but I think those are the 3. I think the SEC is a 2-team race, Texas and Georgia. Obviously, there are other teams that could factor in, Alabama possibly, maybe LSU. Florida is maybe poised to finally get things going in the right direction. But right now, Texas and Georgia appear to be the cream of the crop in the SEC. If you step outside of that, I think the Big 12 is a little bit different. There's probably 8 teams that you could make a case for right now that could win the conference. So on Saturday, we'll get that game at 9 o'clock on ESPN. Number 22, Iowa State will take on number 17, Kansas State. Right now, the Wildcats, a 3-point favorite, and that game is being played over in Dublin, Ireland. So we'll kick off college football this weekend on Saturday, and then we'll transition into the first full week. Now, in the NFL, we're coming up on this final, weekend or week of the preseason before, teams will pare down their rosters to 53 players, and then we'll get into NFL action on that first Sunday. So a lot of big things to watch there. And I'm telling you what, I think Buffalo has a great chance to reach the Super Bowl this year. I love the roster they have put together. The Ravens, very fortunate that Lamar Jackson came out of that, slip up yesterday injury-free. He's going to be okay. He took a hit, had an issue with his hand, but it appears he's going to be okay. And those are the type of things we hate this time of year, those camp injuries. I think Cincinnati in a very awkward spot right now because you got Joe Burrow, who's at the peak of his power. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the game, but they still haven't been able to find a way to get Hendrickson, their star defensive end, signed, and their defense is atrocious. We saw that in the Monday night game against Washington. And Joe Burrow is one of those guys who's going to come out this year and throw 40-plus touchdowns, complete a high percentage of balls, and be dominant. And he's got the skill players around him on offense to be able to get the job done. But Cincinnati's got to find a way to, add to their defense because you got to capitalize on the opportunity that you have with Joe Burrow, which is right now. I'm interested to see what the Steelers are going to be with Aaron Rodgers. I know they can run the football a little bit. I don't know if their offensive line is going to be good enough to get the type of run game they need to find the balance in the offense for Aaron Rodgers. But one thing we know about the Pittsburgh Steelers, under Mike Tomlin, they're right there in playoff contention every year. They play good defense, and they have an identity. And that's what I like about some of those teams in the North. The Ravens know who they are. We're going to play aggressive on defense. We're going to be big and strong in the trenches, and Lamar Jackson's going to provide the magic. And I just love watching Lamar play. The 2 most unique players that I watch at quarterback in the NFL right now, Kyler Murray because of his stature, short but incredibly athletic, and has a cannon arm for a guy of his size. I'm just fascinated by his ability to move around. I'm anxious to see the Cardinals, who many believe have put together a nice roster. Can Murray be dominant throughout an entire season? We haven't seen it yet, but I want to see it. So we'll see how things shake out there. The Browns, I think, are a mess. I think they're looking to tank and put themselves in better draft position. I think the Texans are going to be superb. I think the Colts are going to be a disaster. I keep waiting for Jacksonville to emerge with Trevor Lawrence. I think this is a big year for him. I still think he's got what it takes to be a legit QB, but we haven't seen it. And then Cam Ward. I have no idea what to expect with Cam Ward. I just know I really like his character and the way he operates, and I like his arm talent. They open up in Denver against the Broncos. I'm a big fan of Cam Ward and what he's about, and so I'm excited to watch him play. And then you got the AFC West, toughest division in football this year. Broncos, Chiefs, and Chargers will battle for, division supremacy, and we'll see what the Raiders are about. Pete Carroll added a lot of veteran players, and he's just one of those coaches that knows how to right the wrongs from the past, meaning he's provided direction, he's laid a foundation, he brings a lot of enthusiasm, and I think the Raiders are going to be much better. But the AFC West is fascinating. Sean Payton, Andy Reid, Pete Carroll, and Jim Harbaugh. It doesn't get much better than that. In the NFC East, the Cowboys are a mess. The Giants have a good roster. The question is, how long are they going to go with Russ before they turn it over to Jackson Dart, who's had a very good camp? And I didn't see that coming. Eagles are going to be great. And the Commanders, they've got some question marks on defense. They've got to improve in that area. But obviously were a big surprise last year, and Jaden Daniels was terrific. In the NFC North, I'm paying attention to Caleb Williams. I'm fascinated by the work between he and Ben Johnson. I think the Packers are going to win the division, but I love watching these young quarterbacks play. And we'll get a chance to see that with J.J. McCarthy. What is he going to be able to do with the Vikings? I mean, he's got great talent around him. I want to see how he handles that. I have no idea what to expect from J.J. McCarthy. And then from there, I mean, Tampa Bay in the South, Baker Mayfield has found a new home in Tampa, and they've got a lot of continuity across their coaching staff, their front office. I kind of like the operation down there in Tampa. And I think the Seahawks are poised for a big year. I think Seattle's really going to take off. Sam Darnold's been very sharp through camp, and I like his story, but I think like everyone else, I just want to see him put back-to-back years together. He was terrific last year in Minnesota, and then people were alarmed because of the way he finished out the year against Detroit and had a rough go and then had a poor showing in the postseason. So how's he going to bounce back, and what's he going to look like with Seattle? But one thing about that roster, John Schneider has loaded it up. Offensive line should be good. Defense, they've got it at all three levels. And I think Sam Darnold's good. I like his athleticism. He's accurate, good decision maker. It's just pretty amazing what some of these coaches can do. You know, like Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan. If you're having issues in the NFL, like if I'm Anthony Richardson, I find a way to get in front of Kyle Shanahan or Coach O'Connell down in Minnesota or Sean McVay, because those are the guys that you know can turn you around. So, I don't know. We'll see how it shakes out, but that's what's coming up. Football season is going to be awesome. It's going to be terrific. And hopefully the Raiders won't be too good, because that way I don't have to hear from Raider Mike and the greatness of the Raiders and how it's returned. All right, we'll keep things rolling. When we come back, Earl Frederick is going to join me, and we'll talk about his program. You can jump on board 503-248-0620. Hope you're enjoying the sunshine. Live here at the McClaskey Culinary School at Clark College. It's the Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, I'm here live at the McClaskey Culinary School at Clark College, and I want to make sure I get your title right. Are you the dean of the culinary program?
No,
what do we say?
Not a
How
dean.
do I say it?
I'm the department head.
Department head, okay. Well, I don't want to butcher that. My bad. Earl Frederick is here, and dude, thanks so much for having me out. I love being here with you, and you and I have known each other for a long time, but to see where you're at and the program that you're leading here at Clark, I think it's awesome. And the two students that you had stopped by today, they're rock stars, baby.
Yes, they are. Yeah, and we didn't script anything. Everything that they talked about, we didn't even talk about beforehand.
They did so well. I was very proud of them. And then I felt bad for you because I was thinking about this today as I was driving over. I was like, Earl's two favorite teams are led by Woody Johnson and James Dolan. Like, your two favorite teams are led by buffoons. That's got to drive your soul crazy.
Yeah, man, but, hey, that's the cost of being a New York sports fan. You know, we live and die by it, so... Yeah, I've been a Jets fan for as long as I can remember, and I'm going to stick with it. So,
all right, this is important. We got to talk about this. I didn't know this until you told me a couple of minutes ago that all the other private programs that were in the area, and there used to be multiple ones, have all gone away. So right now, within a 150-mile radius, Clark College is the only place that offers a culinary program, but so many people don't know about it. And what I love about what you're doing is that these students are coming in and you're getting a chance to work with them, and you're helping develop specific skills that they can take right to the marketplace for a job. That's very valuable in today's world.
Absolutely. You know, we're fortunate to have this 20,000 square foot facility, you know, and like you said, we are the only culinary institute around within 150 square miles that offers an associate degree. So it's an accredited degree that you can go ahead and transfer if you need to. Yeah, that being said, yeah, we had the hands-on approach here. So we want, you know, just to have our students go out and be an asset rather than have to get retrained, because there's a stigma in culinary school that most restaurants, you know, try to say. It's like, okay, you just went to school, so you don't really know anything. I could teach you everything you can here. In some ways, that's true. You can teach them that way, but we're just building them a foundation.
Well, the good thing is with your experience and everything you've gone through leading up to this point, you adjust your program, and you put together a specific program to make sure that the skills they have can be applicable to whatever restaurants they choose, right?
Oh, yeah, and it's not just restaurants. You know, we want our students to leave with a quality of life, because that's the one thing, you know, when I came up in this industry almost, 30 years ago, yeah, it's about, you know, that grind and 60-plus hours a week and, you know, going to work early, not clocking in. Nah, those times is over.
Well, that's a good point. So let's talk about that with the program then, because I think when people think food or culinary school, they think restaurants. But, like, what are the other different places where you could wind up with an associate's degree coming out of this program? What are some of the other different pathways that people choose?
Yeah, so there's multiple options. We try to lean towards assisted living, retirement facilities, because as you know, there's a big need for that, and especially cooks. Nowadays, retirement facilities, they're up in their game. You know, they're going to have, same food that you're going to have, let's say, at the waterfront, at the Vancouver waterfront.
Boy, that's a good point. Yeah, my Nana was in one of those communities the last couple of years of her life, and when I went to visit her for the first time, I was blown away at the food quality, right? Because I remember my grandpa being in the nursing home, and so I had a vision in my mind, and then when I went to the specific retirement home, they had a miniature library on hand. They had a different theater where they could go. They had different things, activities for them to do. But the food quality, to make sure that they were enjoying what they're eating and getting the proper nutrition as they continued to age, was awesome. I was blown away.
Exactly. And, yeah, most of those positions, you might have limited weekends. Another place that we try to place students in is institutional dining or business dining. So Nike, Intel, A&A, all of those places right there, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. So we talk about, having quality of life and having a consistent job. There you go. So we already had some students already placed in that field, and the beauty of it is quality of life.
Gosh, my mind, I didn't even think about those places, but you're right. Like even Spirit Mountain Casino, I host a lot of drawings down there. They have, for their employees, you can go back into the employee dining room area, and they have people preparing food for them morning, afternoon, and night.
Exactly. So, yeah, once again, that's another position. I have a friend back east. That's what he does. You know, he doesn't cook for the population. He cooks for the employees. So it's a little bit different, but you're cooking for people that you know. So you know that they're going to give you that honest feedback, and you know you're going to have your game stepped up 100% every day.
That's amazing. We're talking with Earl Frederick, who is the department head here at the culinary school at Clark College. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you're facing right now with the program?
Number one is people not knowing that we're here. You know, we have this program, culinary program here at Clark since 1958. So, yeah, just getting the word out. You know, we have this freestanding student-run restaurant. They do everything from, you know, bussing tables, taking orders, actually making your orders.
That's right. So you can actually come in and sit down and dine here. How many days is the restaurant open?
So currently we only open 2 days a week, Wednesday and Thursday. So once we start back up in the fall, you'll be able to dine with us starting October 1st. October 1st and 2nd, that's our first week opening. So limited dining. It is students, so 11 to 1, that's our window. And yeah, come early because we tend to have to turn people away when we get too
busy.
Capacity.
Well, it's funny. I came in today. You were having a closing meeting with your crew, and it sounds like you guys got hammered with a pretty good hit today, but from people that came in.
Exactly, and is something we can't control, the flow. Yeah, we had a 10 top come in, and then another 10 top right behind it. So, you know, we had to go ahead and, pivot. That's the thing we do. So we made it work. Everybody was happy with it. But the students got so much experience off of that because, put it this way, I won't say it's mistakes. There's always areas of opportunity. So they're learning from things that could have gone a little bit better, but they're also learning from the feedback that they get working in the restaurant and the customer feedback.
I just think it's so valuable that you have a chance to do that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the main reason why we say that this education is important and we're making them, ready for the industry.
But I think looking back at the time that I worked at restaurants, I think what I enjoyed from it was there's a certain energy or buzz that you get from like a busy Friday or Saturday night, right, where you start and it's just nonstop go. And I liked the whole process of trying to stay on top of everything. Even though it was stressful, I also got a charge out of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. I equate that to sports, right? When you keep practicing all the time. But then all of a sudden you get that second win. Now it's second nature. So when you had that synergy in the kitchen, it's sort of like that synergy on the basketball court when everybody's making threes and everybody's feeling it. So it's a contagious thing, that synergy.
All right. So with the program then, so I know you've got a bakery program.
Yep.
And you have the culinary program, which is, 2 years?
Yep. So, yeah, both programs are 2 years or a 1 year certificate.
A 1 year certificate. What's the difference between a certificate 1 year or the 2 year associates?
So, yeah, our certificate program for 1 year, that's if you want to go in and just be like a prep cook. So we teach you the fundamentals, the basics, knife cuts, kitchen safety, all that good stuff. So 1 year, that will get you into a level of prep cook. 2 year program, we're trying to train up to that line cook or sous chef level. So you're going to get a student coming out of this program after 2 years that's going to be an asset to your program.
Now, as you work with students and they complete the 2 year program, as you get a chance to know them and understand some of their likes or dislikes or whatever, are you able to help kind of provide some ideas or directions in terms of where they may want to think about looking for work?
Absolutely. So we start that process day one that they are in class. So even if you're in the 1 year certificate program, day one in September, we're going to go around. We have a questionnaire, and we're going to go ahead and see what you're interested in. And then we're going to revisit that right before you graduate because sometimes that can change. We had a student that, I want to work in the fine dining steakhouse. And then he actually got the opportunity to work there. He's like, Chef, I don't want to do this at all. Because once again, he's thinking about the dining aspect, but not what goes on behind the scenes. And that's kind of like the Hell's Kitchen thing. You can see the finished plate, but you don't see the army of people behind doing all that work right there.
A lot of hard work, a lot of chaos.
Absolutely.
You were telling me about a student that you helped get a job recently. How do you, it sounded like a pretty good process where you're able to talk to the student, you're able to provide some, hey, these are things that you're going to want, certain skills or whatever. Kind of talk about that process.
Yeah, so I'm blessed to know a lot of chefs in the Portland area and over here in Vancouver.
Yeah, connections.
Exactly, it's a big network, and the hospitality industry is very small. So
everyone knows everyone.
Exactly. So having those connections and then being forthright about the student. I'm never going to send a student in. I'm never going to set them up for failure.
Yeah.
Right. And because I will burn both bridges. Yeah. So the student Owen you was talking about, yeah, he told me that, oh, I like this place. I would really want to go ahead and inquire. So what I did is actually give him some homework. Like, okay, I hear you, but why do you want to do this? I need, point A, point B, point C. He went ahead and delivered. Went ahead and did a stage. So stage is a working interview. And sure enough, I, told him, hey, if they tell you, how long do you want to stay? You probably want to answer like it's as long as you want me. And sure enough, he did. Got the job right then and there.
Gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so good. How do you see it's different now, and maybe the pandemic changed some of this, but like a lot of people now aren't going out to eat as much. A lot of people are just ordering food and having it come to their house, right, and staying at home. How do you see things continuing to evolve as we move into the future?
I think there'll be more of that aspect, but I will be perfectly honest. As far as sit-down dining, I don't think that's going anywhere.
So what's the key to success with sit-down dining? Is it just good product, good service? What is the key?
Good product, good service is one, but it's the experience. So literally, it's about the environment. That's what I do. I go out to places because I love the experience, right? The food's going to taste that much better if it's good service, right? The food's going to taste that much better if the music is good. You know? So it's all about all of those things coming together.
And I'm willing to pay more if I can have that experience.
Exactly. I'll tell you a plug for Vancouver, one of the best restaurants around, Elements. Chef Sosa is amazing. And I'm telling you, you go in there.
Elements is legit.
Yes. So you understand what I'm talking about. So that's like our fine dining restaurant over here in.
I got to be honest with you. It still blows my mind that Vancouver has Elements.
Exactly. And like I said, Chef Sosa is a good friend of mine. Actually, 2 of our students work there. So once again, that's that symbiotic relationship that we have right here.
That's funny you talk about the experience. The Godfather and I, we love going to El Gaucho together. It's like his favorite place.
Yep.
And there's one now in Vancouver right off the waterfront. But you talk about the experience, and I love this. So I put in a reservation, and I was going to have me and 5 of my friends. And so when I arrived, the menus on the table have my name on it. Welcome, Chad. It's like I don't need that, but when I see that, and then I have the server that I requested, and like they know exactly how you want everything set up, and so. The ambiance, the atmosphere, the service, and I know you know this because you enjoy this, but there's a trick that they're so skilled at it. Like good servers, they know how to pop in just the right amount of conversation without intruding and slide back out.
Exactly.
So you appreciate they're around and they're there for you, but they don't overdo it. It's like there's a skill to that.
Exactly. It's an art.
Like if you and your wife are sitting down having dinner, if you're in a conversation, the person, they know when to pop in and pop out.
Yep. And like I said, that's an art form. That's why right here at this institute, there's no front of the house and back of the house. They do all of that.
Yeah.
So once again, I want them to be, that jack of all trades when they get out, because I don't want them to just be pigeonholed as a cook, because they can go ahead and do serving. They can go ahead and do bus. That's going to make them a more valuable employee.
Okay, so this entire area, you've given me a tour before. How many square feet in this space?
So in the culinary square feet, it's 10,000. Then we got another 10,000 over there in the retail bakery.
Holy crap.
Yep.
So what's amazing is that because I've worked in restaurants before, but you have the walk-in cooler, you've got the drive, everything that you would have in a restaurant, you have with great open space. It's amazing.
Yeah, we tried to, back 9 years ago when we designed this, actually 10 years ago, we was part of the design process. And this is one of the only times when I've done a lot of restaurants opening where they actually had the chefs give input of how we want things. So that's why you have our delivery door right next to the walk-in coolers, right? It's all about safety. It's all about time and temperature.
So what was your journey? How did you get plugged into Clark to get to where you're at now?
So Clark, once again, it comes about relationships. I used to teach for Job Corps a while back, and I taught the culinary arts program. And we had a relationship with Clark. So our graduating students, some of them will come over here to finish their degree.
Yeah.
So I befriended the chefs here, and when it came time for them to retire, they told me about it. I went ahead and applied, and with the skills that I had in the background for cooking and the teaching, yeah, it was pretty much a no-brainer on their part. And that was their words, not mine.
How many years you been here now?
So this is my 9th year here.
Gosh, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk a little sports. Why are you happy that Tom Thibodeau got fired? Did it surprise you?
Hey, man, nothing surprised me as a New York Knicks fan. I would not have made that decision because Tibbs, I mean, to go from him to Mike Brown, I mean, come on, man. Like,
they went from Tibbs to Mike Brown.
Yeah. Yes, that's a definite Dolan move, definitely.
Oh, my gosh.
If he would just get out of the way like most successful owners do, right? If you know the
do it.
owner's name, you know the team's probably going to be bad.
I know. You're right. Why do I know his name so well? But you know what? And I'll say this about the Knicks last year. Like, they were one of my favorite teams to watch because that you could tell that there was a togetherness with that group, and it was infectious. And so I did not see the Tom Thibodeau firing coming. That one surprised me because I really love how hard they played for him. It was awesome.
Yeah, I wanted them to run it back again, especially with that, that gritty group that we had. You just needed one more year. That would have gave us over the hump, but
They didn't need Mike Brown.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the Jets? Aaron Glenn, you got to like that guy.
I'm very hopeful for Glenn to turn that program around. It's been a coaching carousel for as long as I've been, a fan of that organization. But like you said, it's from the top down. So hopefully Woody Johnson can keep his hands out of there, and hopefully we'll make the playoffs for the first time in 14 years. So.
What is the best way? So if someone listening right now has an interest, like what's the best way to get more familiar with the culinary program here at Clark?
Also, the best way, look on our website, clark.edu. If you look on the web page, we're right under the community tab. Just drop down and say Culinary Center, so you can go ahead and check us out there. Has all of our emails on there, so you can directly connect with us.
And then the bakery program, like if someone got into that, like what are the different skills that they teach you through the bakery program?
So the main thing I would say, the difference between culinary arts and baking, I would say culinary arts is more of a philosophy.
Yeah.
Right? Baking is a science. So, yeah, you got to be exact. So if you're the type of person that doesn't really like to freestyle, likes to freestyle a lot, that's probably not going to be the program for you because it's an exact science.
An exact science.
Yeah, they do it very well. I'm a patron of the retail bakery just about every day. Yes, they make great coffee, drinks, and everything. But, yeah, it's just a different skill set. Not to say you can't do both. Because I do have both degrees. I got a pastry degree. And
you are?
Yeah. So I got a culinary arts degree from Johnson & Wales University in Providence, Rhode Island.
Damn.
And then I went over here about 15 years later at Oregon Culinary to go ahead and brush up on my pastry skills. So, yeah, I don't believe that you fit in one category. No, you can go ahead and do it both. And you can do it both very well.
Gosh, that's awesome, man. What's it like for you, the success stories, kids who – you get a chance, not just kids, but adults, these people that come through the program, they get the degree, and then they follow up with you so you can see how they're able to put that education and what they learned to work.
Yeah, so I'll use a sports analogy. I look at it almost like a coaching tree.
Yeah.
I always thought, I was going to be in a professional sports, but that never happened. So I look at it like this. I still watch sports, but every student that comes through me, as long as they go ahead and put 100% effort, I'm going to match that, and I hope that they're better than me. Right? Just yesterday, one of the students came in from about 3 years ago, and I remember how timid and how, scared that student was. Fast forward right now, he's actually the executive chef of one of the biggest senior living facilities right here in Vancouver area.
How's he enjoying it?
Oh, he's loving it.
Oh, dude.
He's loving it. His only thing is like, you were right, chef. The more you move up that ladder, the less you cook.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's trying to balance that, but, it's great. It's a joy seeing somebody that you started out with that maybe made it, but now all of a sudden that light bulb went off and they're, just as successful as any other student that I had.
Well, that's a lot. You mentioned about moving up the ladder. That's the problem with a lot of coaches, right? They, these coordinators become coaches, and then it drives them crazy because they want to be game planning.
Yep.
They want to work with the food.
Exactly.
That's great, man. That's so cool that you get a chance to do that and see their successes. And I was blown away. We grew up. We pretty much have the same life experience. face-to-face communication. Your two youngsters today, I was blown away by how well they projected and communicated on air. Because, with the young people now, like, it's hit and miss sometimes with that verbal communication. But those guys were top-notch.
Yeah, and that's one thing that, that's natural for them. They've only been in my class for the last 3 weeks, but just having that interaction with them is like, okay, cool. We just throw them into it. Like, hey, you're serving today. And it's like areas of opportunity. If you mess up, that's all right.
Yeah.
Because once again, you're learning from that. My thing is I would rather take somebody that's inexperienced to be in our program because I can mold them like clay.
Yeah.
You come in here with your, you're already a cook and a chef. You're already coming in with this attitude. You know everything. That's probably not going to work here.
That's pretty cool. Spots, I know that you mentioned elements, which is terrific. Any spots you've hit lately that you were impressed by? Restaurants or pastry spots, coffee shop, anything?
Well, I'm a big pizza guy, so
yes.
I got to give, my guy Joey down at No Novel, a head nod because he got some of the best Neapolitan-style pizza.
And that's your favorite, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Flavor-wise, there's another one, Pizza La Sorrentina. So Chef Daisuke, amazing pizzola, right? Neapolitan-style pizza. Different styles. Even though they have, these wood-burning ovens, two different styles of pizza flavor-wise. So, yeah, I definitely appreciate going out and getting some good pizza every now and then.
Yeah, I like that. I like seeing how the wood ovens work, man.
Yes.
The way you slide the pie in, and it doesn't take long to get it right where you want it.
Nope, 90 seconds.
All right, Earl Frederick here at Clark College. All I can say is thank you. I think we should make this an annual thing. So I'm inviting myself for next year.
Hey, you are more than welcome, a fellow Penguin.
And you're smart. That's right, fellow Penguin. And you're smart because you do what I do. I save emails because I'm like, hey, I need to have this in case I run into another issue. So when it came to IT and making sure we had the connection point, you saved your emails from last year so you could tell them exactly what needed to be done. That's exactly. Called high-level maneuver right there. Oh, by the way, what sport did you want to play?
Oh, basketball.
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
This is how the conversation went. My dad's like, hey, I'm always here for you, and I'm going to encourage you. I don't want to crush your dreams, but being an NBA player may not be in your future based on your athleticism and your height, but there are other ways you can be close to sports.
There you go. Exactly.
I wanted to be an NBA player so bad.
Me too.
Oh, speaking of that, NBA players throwing grenades at one another. This came down Kevin Durant and Anthony Edwards. Edwards tweeted out and said, can't talk trash to KD on social media. He has 2 burner accounts at the age of 36. Kevin Durant responded and said, you have 4 child support cases at 22.
Oh!
2 stars just going haymakers on each other, man.
Wow.
There you go. All right. Earl Frederick, thank you, my friend.
Hey, I appreciate you as always, Chad.
All right. We'll keep things rolling here. And thanks for the pizza. My family's going to eat well tonight.
All right. All right. Just give me that honest feedback.
All right. Rip City Drive on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, big thanks to Earl Frederick. It's been really nice, and I've got some beautiful pizza to take home to the family. And they brought me some candies from the bakery. So we got some good stuff here, man. This is beautiful. But Earl's doing some great work out here with the students. And, I like specific skills that you can learn and be able to take right to the market. Nice, very nice. And this campus, it's nice to come back. I have a lot of memories here, a lot of long hours. Earl and I were talking about this earlier, too. Most of you youngsters out there never had to experience such awful tactics, but, we used to have to go to the library and use the card catalog with the Dewey Decimal System and research books, for papers and stuff. Probably the hardest thing I did here at Clark, this biology notebook we had to put together. I mean, it was brutal, and I spent a lot of time in the library with that. Did you, Burkhardt, are you old enough did you have to go through the card catalog, or was that before your time?
Like, maybe a little bit, but kind of when I was young, I just knew where the books I wanted were. Like, you had the option to do the card catalog, like in college, but I just did the computer because it told me where I needed to go.
All right. Hey, put the headphones back on, Earl. He wants to ask you about the original steer. Have you been to the original steer?
I haven't, no.
All right. So tell him about your family's butcher shop, Chris.
It's a butcher shop down there on 123rd in Division in Portland, and my dad has worked there most of his life, owned it for about 2
And what's your
decades.
dad's last name?
My dad's last name is Butcher.
Get out of here, man.
That's what I told him.
That was Chad's reaction. Does not believe me. It's the original steer. I told him he should rebrand to Butcher's Butcher Shop, but that wasn't in the cards. But yeah, just a nice little a meat shop. Been there since 1962, and it's an awesome spot.
And how many years did you work there?
Oh, I got there right out of high school. It was my first job. I think I put probably 6-7 good years in there before I went to start going to college and doing all my stuff. So yeah, I know my way around the meat shop.
That's impressive.
And what my favorite that he has is his dad makes fresh beef jerky.
Oh, okay, all right.
Oh yeah,
I
that's good.
got to stop by there.
But what's your favorite cut of meat?
Oh.
Like when you go to the butcher shop, what are you normally looking to get?
So I'm that type of person. I'm gonna go ahead and get the best cut, in my opinion. Hanger steak. So there's only one in the whole entire cow.
This is right.
Yeah. Yep. I always make sure I get that. Now I got a couple of local farmers here that I befriend, but I never heard of that spot. I'm going to check that out. I appreciate that.
Yes, you tell
right.
them Chris sent you. They'll treat you right.
Which part of
don't mention Chad.
Yeah, don't. Now, here's what's funny is like when he goes to the butcher shop, he does all the time to pick up like meat for the family. His dad is like, "Oh, no problem." His mom's like, "Hey, you need to pay for that."
I love it.
Meat bill, let's go.
Oh man.
All right, that's great.
awesome.
The original steer, Earl.
All right, I appreciate you. Thanks, Chris.
All right, big thanks to Earl and everyone here at the McClaskey Culinary School at Clark College. A big thanks to you for listening. We'll be back with the Rip City Drive tomorrow at 3. Hey, Chris, thanks for your time today, buddy.
I miss you.
I miss you. Maybe one day we'll be able to cross paths again.
I hope so.
All right, that's going to do it for us. You guys have a great night. We'll catch you tomorrow on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio.